Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silent reflection for all our servicemen and women throughout the world and for those who have passed away in our community. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. King?
Present.
Mr. Schuster?
Present.
Dr. Rothchild? Mr. McAndrew?
Present.
Mr. Smurl?
Here. I would like to remind everyone that next Tuesday, November 5th, is Election Day. City Hall will be closed, so our Thursday, or our meeting will be moved, our council meeting will be rescheduled to Thursday, November 7th at 6:30. And trash will be on a regular cycle next week. DPW is not off on Election Day this year. Minutes.
Third order, 3A, overtime report for all departments as provided by City Controller received October 23, 2024 for October 2024. 3B, minutes of the Scranton-Lackawanna Health and Welfare Authority meeting held June 20th, 2024.
Are there any comments on any of the third order items? If not, received and filed. Do any council members have any announcements at this time?
I do, Mr. President. So, as you know, we're getting into budget season, so we received the notice hereby given the Scranton City Council. We're going to be holding department work sessions on the following dates and times. Thursday, November 7th at 5:30 p.m. We're going to have representatives from the Mayor's Office, the Office of Economic and Community Development, and Parks and Recreation Department. On Tuesday, November 12th at 5:30, Department of Public Works, Scranton Police Department, and Scranton Fire Department will present. And on Tuesday, November 19th at 5:30 p.m., the Business Administration, Human Resources, Information Technology, Law Department, and Bureau of Treasury will present. The purpose of the work sessions is to discuss the 2025 operating budget. And all those work sessions will be held here in City Council chambers. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. King. Anyone else?
I have a quick one. So this Thursday, we all know it's Halloween, and over on west side of Main Avenue, they'll have their annual Main Street Trick or Treat, safe, free, family fun. Shamrock Construction Company is responsible for, not for all of it, but getting it going for the past couple of years. They do a great job, and the kids have a blast. So that's a good one to attend. And that is all I have. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. McAndrew.
Fourth order, citizen participation.
Joan Hodowanis?
Joan Hodowanis, Scranton. I just want to start by saying you all missed a really wonderful, entertaining session this afternoon at the Trolley Museum. Commissioner Chermak presented his version of the budget, and you never saw such a humorous screaming match. It was unreal. But if you get home tonight, you know, watch your local TV news, because every TV station was there. And so I'm fortunate that adults could act in such a silly manner, but, you know, a lot of name calling and screaming and liar, liar, pants on fire type comments. Okay, the police collective bargaining agreement, has that been typed up yet?
It's not completely finished.
Okie dokie. And DPW is still in negotiations on their contract. Yeah, they have 63 days left on their contract. And how about the 2023 audit? Has the parking authority produced anything?
The parking authority's audit is complete. They have to approve it, give it to us, and then it'll take the city about 2 weeks to go through it to make sure everything's correct.
Oh, good grief.
Well,
okay.
have to go through it.
Okay. I was very pleased to see in the paper that 115 and 117 Penn Avenue, my mother's table in the adjoining building, were sold to a developer because, you know, those buildings were very blighted, and that's going to make the 100 block of Penn Avenue look much, much better, kind of thing. So it was just nice to see that that happened. The budget meetings that you described, you're going to put a legal notice in the paper, correct?
Yes, we are.
Okay, good, so that we can see the whole list of meetings. I'm curious, does anyone know who is currently in charge of Parks and Recreation?
There was an assistant we hired last year. We approved that position. I don't remember his name.
Okay. I hope it's not being double-hatted by Scott Grossmeyer. I think it needs
not,
its own
no.
leadership. Okay.
Yeah, Scott was given that assistant last year.
Yeah, okay. Maybe that's something can be clarified during the budget meetings when Parks and Recs is here. Also, and I know you can't talk about litigation, but there was the article in the paper, Scranton taxpayers sue city over rejection of low bid on splash pad project. I found it very interesting that they received 6 bids, and the bid that was considered the lowest responsible bid was the very highest bid. Now, we cannot talk about the person that's suing and that bid and the city's handling of it and rationale. But it seems to me very strange that they would have to go to the very highest bidder of 6 bids as the lowest responsible bid. That does cause people to ask questions, what's going on here? Okay, because at the face value of it, you would have to assume that, well, all those 5 bidders, even though they were lower than the one that was accepted, were not responsible bidders. And I'm beginning to wonder, you know, who's making these decisions when they choose a bid. So I know that you cannot discuss litigation, I'm not asking you to, but I think people are talking. And this has been a topic on talk radio, and people are very, very surprised to see that happen. And I wish you all a happy Halloween. Like I said, it's unfortunate that you missed the hijinks at 3 o'clock this afternoon, but watch TV tonight.
Thank you, Tom. Les Spindler?
Good evening, Council. Les Spindler, city resident, homeowner. This is something I talked about the last few weeks. On 7th Avenue by Scranton High, cars are still parking illegally there. I went by Friday, and there were cars parked in a bus stop. The bus had to park in back of the cars that are parked in the bus stop, partially blocking the lane of traffic. And there's cars in back of the bus, again, where there's no parking signs. I don't know why nothing's being done there. They should have a police officer there every day. They'd be able to write tickets and make a fortune. Because I know, like I say, it is a safety hazard because they're halfway in the lane of traffic when they park. Next thing, you know, Paige Cognetti and Donald Trump have something in common. They're both anti-Semitic. Paige Cognetti refused to fly the Israeli flag, and Donald Trump said that Adolf Hitler did some good things. When I heard that, that blew my mind. How anybody can vote for that guy is unbelievable. Killed 6 million Jews, and Donald Trump said he did some good things. Unbelievable. And that was told by his chief of staff. Next thing, last Wednesday, I went to the budget meeting up in Waverly, and the commissioners spoke first. They gave some convincing reasons why they had to raise the taxes 33%. So I was there, and a bunch of other people, and I said, you know, I'm not against tax hikes, but 33% was unbelievable. I said, people like me who are on Social Security, fixed income, we can't afford that. And there was just not, a lot of people got up and spoke, but I don't know if they're going to do anything about it. I think there's another meeting tonight in Carbondale. So I just hope they could somehow work it out where it's not 33%, because it's going to hurt a lot of people. I just hope we don't get whacked by the city, too. That's all I have tonight. I hope everybody has a happy and safe Halloween. I know probably going to be a lot of people out. It's going to be like summer out there on Thursday. So I'll see you next time.
Thank you. Lee Morgan?
Mr. Voldenberg, can you reach out to, I guess it would be the police chief, to see if they could look into that situation where parents are parking in the bus stop and kind of blocking up the street there?
I will, Mr. King.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council. Lee Morgan. The first thing I have here is, you know, next Tuesday is Election Day, and I'd say to do yourself a big favor and vote for Donald Trump and, you know, start realizing that we have to restructure our government and stop listening to the silly things that the news says. And the Democrats, Joe Biden and, you know, Mrs. Harris, they have nothing to offer this country. They only flew people in and looted this country. The American Recovery Plan is just really a problem. Now, what I came here today basically to speak about is the amount of money that people are paying for their water bills and their sewer bills. First, I'd like to give people my phone number, 570-558-1648. Got a couple of people that are working with me. We have to do something about this situation. We can't count on our council to help us or the mayor. And the PUC is appointed by the governor. They're basically useless. And you just can't live in a city where you can't afford your water and your sewer. And this goes back to Joe Wexler, who was council president and introduced the sale of the Scranton Sewer Authority. And then you look at Wayne Evans, Pat Rogan, Tim Perry, and Bill Gahan. Now, I believe Pat Rogan moved outside the city now, but when you listen to people talk about how they're being extorted by the water company, $200-300 water bills and sewer bills, all because over the course of my lifetime coming to these council meetings, we put a lot of corrupt people in the council seats. And instead of worrying about Scranton's government being run by a business, they were putting political supporters into the sewer authority. And what happened is the residents locally and even nationally, that's why the country's a mess. People don't vote and they don't think their vote matters and they don't protect their interests. But the looting of the Scranton Sewer Authority was the most atrocious thing that we remember in modern history here in the city. And don't forget that we had Bill Courtright, who was beyond corrupt. I mean, the things he did, he should have been prosecuted for a lot more than he was prosecuted for. And, you know, we should start talking about the parking authority, not just the sewer authority, and a lot of other things that he did, like ECTV and the detriment. And, you know, I just think that the residents have to realize that, you know, we needed the public access channel to talk about issues like, you know, the water and the sewer rates, but the council and the mayor. And I think that when we go to court, we're going to find out that there were a lot more people involved in what happened at ECTV. They're trying to they're trying to do some crazy things. But, you know, I hope people call me. We've got to get rid of this council and we have to get rid of this mayor. Because I don't want to hear who died this week, okay? I appreciate the residents and I respect that they live here and that they've passed away, and I really have very little interest in who's having a spaghetti dinner But you know what I want to hear? I want to hear neighborhood leaders come here and ask the council to do things for their neighborhood, not meet in their neighborhood meetings and see if they can work a deal for themselves and con somebody into giving them a little bit of grant money, okay? Because that's been a detriment to the people in this city. We've elected very corrupt, incapable people in council and the mayor's office. The last competent mayor we had, in my opinion, was Jimmy Connors, and then they name a park after Chris Doherty. And when you look at his history, it's almost ludicrous. The guy must have a steel box at home with a ton of money in it. I mean, the things he did to the residents of this city, you can't fix stupid. So look, do yourself a big favor on Election Day. Go vote for Trump. Call my number, 570-558-1648. Let's get together, talk about some solutions, and move forward with the water and the sewer problems and many other issues. Thank you.
Thank you. Ron Ellman?
Good evening, Council. Well, next time we meet, there'll be a new leader. I'd like to quickly discuss a commercial I've seen on television a half dozen times or so. Since Obama's attack on America years back, we have been on a downward spiral on our values, morality, and especially the sanctuary of life. A good example of the evils Harris has inflicted upon us is this political ad. A father of all things, a father wishes his daughter always has access to abortions. Not wishing for a beautiful wedding and a beautiful bride and so forth. This is such a terrible, degrading thing for our country, for people to reach such a low point in life. To have the ability, he wants her to have the ability for this deliberate, barbaric assault on life, you know, this murderous procedure. It just destroys American values to have a commercial like that, in my opinion. I think the Planned Parenthood slaughterhouses shouldn't receive another penny of tax money. They shouldn't be allowed, as far as I'm concerned, but I guess it's not up to, they consider them a business. They shouldn't receive no federal funds whatsoever. You know, I hear and see people all upset about puppy mills, but the murder of innocents, nobody seems to consider so disastrous as I do. I just wonder if any of these people ever thought what some of these stolen lives might have accomplished had they lived, been allowed to live. But no. I appreciate all the anti-abortionists that have expressed their wishes during the past few months. And very fortunately for these pro-abortionists, their parents weren't pro-abortionists. One thing I would like to compliment is how the Democrats have brought Harris out of complete 100% obscurity 2 months ago into leading the country like we see now. But the leadership's going the wrong way when young people look so up to entertainers. The entertainers' futures are assured. Someday these people were going to have to clothe themselves and house themselves and feed themselves. And unless they're an illegal immigrant, they're going to have to learn to do it themselves. Thank you.
Thank you. That is all for our sign-in sheet. Anyone else wish to speak? No one?
Good evening, Council. Virgil Argenta. I'm here to discuss the Capous Avenue splash pad lawsuit. It makes me, as a city taxpayer, very concerned. I understand the city is going to use an outside attorney on this lawsuit against this local contractor. Who is going to pay for the outside attorney? And will the taxpayers be responsible to pay the lawsuit? Correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't the city of Scranton have their own law department with attorneys that are paid from the city government with taxpayer money? Are they capable of handling any lawsuits? Previously, when different contractors sued the city of Scranton and the judge ruled in favor of the contractors, it's my understanding that the city did not have enough insurance coverage available to cover the loss. Therefore, the city taxpayers had to dig into their pockets and pay the difference. Is this going to be a regular occurrence with lawsuits? It makes more sense to have the city and the contractor get together sooner than later to iron out the issues and resolve this matter amicably instead of the city starting a costly legal battle. Another unnecessary lawsuit that could have been prevented because the city didn't want to work this out properly with the general contractor. I hear politicians talking about change orders on most projects. Don't most change orders come from the owner or drawings that are incomplete or under-designed? Why is no one held accountable for this? Speaking of change orders, the city apparently has an issue with the general contractor that was on the Novembrino splash pad with their change orders. Yet the owner, the city, and the architect both signed off and accepted almost all of the change orders for the Novembrino splash pad. They were requested by the architect, engineer, and the owner, the city. Sounds like these change orders were needed to complete this job. Funny thing is, in the splash pad, they had prime contracts. The contractor that had the plumbing contract doubled his original price during the project with change orders. No one questioned that. The city's grant had no issues with them or giving them additional contracts. The plumbing firm is currently working on the project with the city of Scranton and are working at the Weston Field project right now. After doing a little research, I found out that the prime plumbing contract with the Novembrino splash pad sent in one of the change orders, which was approved and signed off by the city, who's the owner, and the architect for approximately $18,000. But this work was clearly detailed on the plumbing drawing as part of the original contract. Something here seems to be one-sided. Are we playing favorites with who we hire? Who does this contractor know that did the plumbing work at the Novembrino splash pad that's now at Weston Field? Do we have a bid process or a system that contractors must adhere to? Or does the city mayor pick and choose on who they want to hire? So again, my suggestion as a taxpayer is to try to avoid this lawsuit by having both sides sit down and reach an amicable solution to this, and do not drag on, as the city can also avoid unnecessary legal fees, which will guarantee that the city taxpayers won't have to dig into their pockets again. This needs to stop. It's time to put the petty differences aside and do the right thing for the taxpayers, for once. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council. Mike Mancini, Scranton. Tonight I'm going to read from a prepared statement. A week from now, the national election will be over. A year from now, 53 weeks re-election for this current administration. There are so many things that are wrong. Let me start this evening by talking about poor practices by this administration. Let's start with the lawsuits. 59 were settled in the last 18 months at a cost to the city of Scranton and its taxpayers $6.4 million. There are 2 current lawsuits that are also alarming, one of which was very recently filed regarding poor bidding practices involving the splash pad and park at Capous Avenue. Lowest bidder is a local family contractor who has proudly served our area for more than 60 years. They have extensive experience and have installed a Northern Brino splash pad without any issues. Yet, they were overlooked for no valid reason, which cost the city an extra $260,000 and local worker wages to the lowest bidder. Another is the ongoing lawsuit filed by Marty Flynn's mom, who was wrongfully terminated with 1 year left before her available pension. I'm sure Ufberg's making bank on this one at a rate of $400 per hour. How about the condemned property that was recently torn down without notification sent to the property owners? How much will that cost? The current county commissioners are stuck having to raise taxes because of poor choices made by the prior administration. It makes me wonder how much money and unpaid bills are just sitting there by this expansion team here in the city of Scranton. This administration cannot even budget for a park system consisting of only 1 pool. How about giving the Serenity Center to the county for a juvenile detention center? That's probably the best possible use. Why does she refuse to allow proper officials to investigate the sale of the Scranton Sewer Authority? Is there a rain tax coming after her re-election? This very council has been misguided by this administration to no end. Money was approved and wasted on studies that ended up singling out veterans and a holistic approach to crime. Enough with the studies, consultants, and the wasteful spending that the city does not have. Money was also spent on marketing to get more qualified individuals to take the Scranton police exam. 130 took the exam, which ended up with a few hires. Police chief feels his department should be held to a higher standard, so the scores are even higher than the national average. One of his recently sworn in hit a tree at 4 a.m. He was Ubered home by his shift supervisor without any charges. There was also no sobriety test given. No wonder morale with our police department is at an all-time low. One thing is for sure, we have one of the best police departments in the country. I have to mention crosswalks and visible signs for safety with Halloween this coming Thursday. I did notice our hard-working crews out on Saturday starting the task of painting these sidewalks. Mr. Smurl, I also noticed that your intersection was done. Are people slowing down? Are they paying attention? Is traffic slowing down in your area? You're only maybe like 0.5% of the city that has the availability for the crosswalks. What's the speed limit at Naog? There's no signs. What's the speed limit in the school zone? None of them are posted at 15 miles an hour. These need to be addressed. There also needs to be a traffic study for 12th Avenue and Luzerne Street. A stop sign is needed. She would notice these things if she paid attention. You need to put her own eyes on things that need an engineer or pavement inspections. Using a third party from another county with no oversight is not the answer. It becomes a waste of money and additional expenses. This administration is not the answer. I hope that everybody pays attention to what this expansion team is doing. There are so many good people in Scranton that truly deserve better. We will continue to push our buttons like a 12-year-old playing Fortnite. It seems like as if the only way to get things done on time is if we push to do it ourselves. We deserve better. We are Scranton strong. We the people will make Scranton great again. This is not a prediction. This is a spoiler. 53 weeks from now, with 0% reporting, Paige Cognetti, you're fired. Change is coming. Good evening, Council.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council. Norma Jeffries, a Scranton resident. And I want to thank whoever was responsible for putting the rules of order for our council meetings back and being published, so thank you. The reason that I wanted them so much, and I'm not prepared to speak on it because I wasn't going to speak tonight, but as I look down these, I just sit in confusion as to what should be discussed at this podium. If we look at the information on the back of this bulletin, it says, any person authorized to address council shall be limited to speaking exclusively on matters of concern to the council that are contained in 3rd, 5th, 6th, or 7th order, we violate that, of the meeting agenda, and may speak on non-agenda items of concern to the council. That's what I circled, concern to the council. What is a concern to the council? I don't understand what that is. Is the concern to the council that we could sit up here and talk politics from this podium? That we all don't get up here and give our other side of what's going on? Who then decides what's the concern of council? Then if you go down to the next one, it says name calling, profanity, racial or ethnic slurs, or any other behavior that is inconsistent with the purpose and intent of conducting official business shall not be permitted. So as some stand here at the podium and use words that I think are derogatory, and they scandal, and I can't even begin to remember the words that they use. I was going to write them down, but my pen didn't work. But week after week after week, this podium is used that I don't think should be used for national politics. Local politics is one thing, but national politics, should we all get up here? We could have 15 people come up here and talk nothing but politics. That's not right. So I just wondered, at what point does council consider something your concern? That's all I have tonight.
Norma, there's some information there for you last week.
I'm sorry?
That was information that you requested last week for the $2.50 fee for Weston Field, and also the information on the Scranton-Lackawanna unsheltered.
Thank you very
plan.
much, because I was going to speak on that, but I was hoping that it would be, I do have a meeting at the NAACP tonight at 7:30, so this is one of the items that we'll be discussing. So thank you for this. I appreciate it. Okay.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council, and tonight's viewing audience. Tom Coyne, Manuka. A few things tonight I could not say because I was distracted by my speech last week. First, the easy question. As winter approaches, why are we not able to track our trash pickups, the street sweeper, and plows? We can track the Lackawanna County buses in real time, but we can't track city services. I understand license inspection because you need them to appear unannounced, but the only time that I have ever seen the street sweeper is as a float in the St. Patrick's Day Parade. Maybe if the power washer could have been tracked, it would have not gone walkabout for 2 years for personal use. If Rubicon has city routes set up, then tracking a street sweeper would allow residents to move their vehicles as they would have warning before it got to the location. People could even set up alerts, like an Amazon package delivery. Heaven forbid we have forward-thinking ideas. On to the HUP test, the review of nonprofits. It was reported that there are issues. What it was said was that the county is lacking supporting documentation required. It is missing at the assessor's office. If the nonprofit has failed to provide compliance paperwork, they should be taxed. Until the proper paperwork is filled and they're in compliance, like any other citizen, we are billed until it's corrected and resolved. Why do nonprofits get special dispensation? Second, as the review has hit a roadblock on some, out of the ones currently reviewed, has it as of yet identified any properties for adding back to the tax rolls, and have they been? What percentage complete have been reviewed and in compliance, and what percentage have been identified as non-compliant and returned to the tax rolls? As for asking for help from the pilots, the nonprofits have certainly told the city pilots to go fly themselves. On to 7A, street cameras. The entire submission lacks detail. How many? What does $40,830 get us? I would also be careful, as it lacks any information on how or why this location was chosen. The only qualification stated was a qualified census tract. What does that say? Devoid from any police call correlations, it is the use of federal funding based on cameras to watch the poor and race-based sections. Now, if it was part of a larger comprehensive city identification and rollout, and it was partially funded by the Recovery Act, I would see no issue. Or even based on crime call volume to a specific location in excess of others. But as it stands, we are targeting economically impact areas without identifying a crime study, specific call volume comparisons over the entire city. It can be drawn that the goal is to target populations like Skyview and Valley View Terrace. Without supporting documents, this may be a targeting liability for the city of Scranton. We have 7C. Now this is under court suit. Would it not be prudent to table it until the suit runs its course? I understand we have to have this voted by December for the Recovery Act funds, but that doesn't stop us from tabling it for a month to see where this actually plays out. Remember the City Hall health manager, $140,000 a year from Clark Summit, whose contribution was to print or to have the IT department put up links from other agencies, attend the mayor's meetings as a health showpiece while ignoring the homeless. Still a thing. For $210,000, did we ever have one recommendation from her and not a handout of other people's work? I understand the foundations and the hospitals are separate entities, but has that bill been paid for the time she was here? Now, I ask for fiscal responsibility, unlike the do-nothing recycling dump fee costing to date over $19,000. Have we adjusted our budget for the lack of funding from the hospital, which is now going nonprofit? Has anyone looked at that? Or are we going to keep last year's numbers as usual? And last, as a public reminder, the last meeting for the 33% county tax increases tomorrow at noon at the Globe Store, the 5th floor. And this weekend, set those clocks backward. Thank you and good night.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council. Dave Dobson, resident, taxpayer. I'm going to differentiate on that prior speech about politics. We're part of the United States of America, and anything that happens in Washington affects us. Now, we have the 2025 project. First of all, suspend the Constitution. the author of the preface is J.D. Vance, of course, Vice President candidate. Approximate contributors, 29 Trump aides, co-authors, and former Trump aides. Cuts are in Social Security, Medicare, 61 votes prior to destroy the Affordable Care Act and eliminate it. Possible ban on abortion, no exceptions nationally. Rape, incest, or life of the mother is not considered, and birth control also will be canceled. And by the way, if a woman has a difficult pregnancy or has a miscarriage and winds up 10 days in the hospital, what happens with the bill? Who's responsible for that bill? That's something that popped into my mind. I think about things a long time before I open my mouth. Threats against legitimate political ops, threatening the Insurrection Act, which was a late 1700, and the only time it was used was against the Japanese since then, during World War II. Election interference, embraced. I mean, Russia, Russia, if you're listening, find those emails. Well, that $750 claim that's circulating around for those poor people down in North Carolina is Russian origin. And Iran and a few other jerks in this world. Recently disclosed 7 calls to Putin. Elon Musk also 7 calls to Putin. Now they have top security clearance. What in the hell are they talking to Putin for? And then there was a loan from Trump Organization for $10 million to his campaign in the last campaign. And Egypt paid $10 million back to the Trump Organization. New York Times, 30,000 lies in one term, or partial truths, whatever you want to call it. January 6th organized a riot. We all seen that on TV. I don't have to describe it or waste any more time. And eliminate the civil service, Department of Education, parochial. I went to a parochial school. My mother was Methodist and previously divorced, and I did not have a good time in it. To this day, I won't attend any religious organization, period. And it just goes on and on and on. I mean, it's that 2025 project is 900 pages. Just imagine if Social Security or Medicare didn't exist and you had a relative wind up with a relative dying on your couch, your sofa in your living room, because they can't get the kind of treatment that they need, or they can't be in a hospital or a nursing home, or it's just ungodly. It's really, and by the way, back before these institutions existed, you had orphans court. And you could have somebody that burned your last house down, and they could call you into court and say, hey, this guy is indigent. You have to take him in. Thank you, and have a good night.
Thank you.
Fifth order, 5A motions.
Mr. King, do you have any motions or comments?
A few comments. We sit here and we listen to criticism, and that's fair enough. The city is far from perfect. There's issues, in the city as there are in many other cities throughout the country. But it's difficult to sit here and have somebody say you did nothing when the PUC and Pennsylvania American Water Company, presented an increase. And I know for a fact that all 5 of the people sitting up here, along with our state reps, our state senator, our mayor, every one of us fought that increase and got it scaled back to 50%. The unfortunate part is it's just so difficult to beat the Public Utility Commission. But I can't sit here and let somebody say that we did nothing. We did something. And it resulted in a reduction in the requested increase. Not as much of a reduction as we would have wanted. We wanted 0. Well, we got the thing cut in half. So for somebody to say that we did nothing, that's an untruth. The other piece is somebody said about the neighborhoods. We do nothing for the neighborhoods. Well, take a drive up to Oakmont Park and take a look at that park. Take a drive up to Robinson Park and see that park, which is almost done. Naog Park is going to be done with new pools, splash pads, pickleball courts. Kapow's Park, excuse me, I'm speaking right now. Thank you. Novembrino Park, Weston Field's going to be done, and we're going to vote on that tonight with the skate park and brand new swimming pool. Pretzel Park has been improved. Almost every park in the city. We've paved streets in the neighborhoods to make our neighborhoods better. All I could say is people want to come, they want to criticize, that's fine. We're open game. But I'll tell you what, if you really want to do something, go out, get 100 signatures, get your name on the ballot, and then you run and sit up here, and you could do it. Can't wait. Absolutely. So I look forward to that. I encourage, I respect anybody that's willing to put their name on a ballot and run for this office, and then come up and we'll see what you can do. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Mr. King. Mr. Schuster, do you have any motions or comments?
Yes, I have a few. I'm going to start off while it's fresh on my mind, the HUP test. On October 15th, we asked for a update on the HUP test, and I'm going to have to ask again tonight for an update on the HUP test. In the response that we got back, it was stated that the city had a meeting with Lackawanna County and the Scranton School District on September 4th to determine how the assessor's office is going to collect the information that's needed. In that response, it also states that the assessor's office is drafting a letter to be included with the mailings to nonprofit property owners as part of the reassessment. Can we get clarification on what are our next steps forward with the HUP test? Tell us how we're going to move forward with that, and possibly get a copy of the letter that's being sent out. Is the way that we're going to move forward just a letter that's coming with the reassessment, or are we going to do a little bit more than that? That's the first one. Second one, I had some calls from some residents around All Saints Academy about refuse pickup, and it was occurring around the same time as the drop-off of students in the morning. It was causing some congestion, and I kind of parlayed that into a question about Rubicon as well. But the original question I had, Mr. Voldenberg, if you could, is have we changed the schedule for our refuse pickups? It seems like this wasn't something that was an issue for the last several years, but it's an issue as of the last 3 or 4 weeks. So if we could just see if there's been a schedule change, and it could be a change of just about 10, 15 minutes that's causing the backup.
They were
on this.
asked to change the schedule. I'll ask if they did.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. With that being said, we did get an update on Rubicon. What was stated is Rubicon's in the final round of optimization testing, which focuses on turn-by-turn notifications. Routes have been optimized, tested via route driving, and are in the final testing phases. We anticipate that optimized routes will be completed prior to December 31st, and that date is specific for a reason. That's the end of the Rubicon contract, I'm sure, and they're going to provide updates when it goes live. So I'd love to know when this system is going live. Another question, if we could just expand on that, is are we going to be asking for an extension, or are we going to be looking to renew the contract with Rubicon?
I'll ask those questions.
Thank you. Dr. Rothchild had asked about an update on the unsheltered task force. We discussed it somewhat tonight in caucus, and questions that arose from me out of caucus tonight were, are there going to be minutes to the unsheltered task force meetings, if we could find out if there's going to be minutes, and any updates that have come out of our meeting, out of the most recent meeting. I think it was October 3rd.
I will, sir.
Thank you. I attended the Kaiser Valley Stormwater meeting last Thursday, and a couple of questions arose from me out of that meeting. I do have a copy of the study here, so thank you, Mr. Voldenberg, for that and some of the other materials that went with that. What was presented on Thursday's meeting was that there was an initial study on the pump house. So my first question when it comes to Kaiser Valley is, was there an initial study on just the pump house alone? Because it seemed like in the presentation of that meeting, that's how it started, and then it expanded. So this Kaiser Valley Stormwater and Flood Mitigation Study, is that the second study that occurred, and there's an original study on the pump house, or was the pump house study rolled into this study here?
I'll clarify.
Thank you. When it comes to the timeline of events, the bids for Kaiser Valley and were accepted in 2020. The contract was ratified by 2021. The study was completed by September of 2021. And right now, we're looking to start work in summer or spring of 2025. So it's a large timeline with years in between the completion of the study in September of 21 to the beginning of work in 2025. So could we ask specifically, when will the work in Kaiser Valley begin, if we can get a timeline on when that work will begin?
I will, sir.
All right. Another question coming out of that meeting was the buyout program. Some residents at that meeting had questions specifically about the buyout program, and at the meeting they were told that those questions would not be answered, that is not a meeting to discuss that. But can we find out where we're at with our buyout program? And have any of the residents been bought out of their properties in Kaiser Valley or North Scranton?
I'll ask those questions
Thank
also.
you. And then next, has the city tracked the residents who are not in their homes after the 9/9 flooding? And have we tracked all the damage on the properties?
I will.
And then with that, where is the city with aid to the damaged properties? Is the city still processing these claims? What has been awarded so far, what is pending, and then what has been denied?
I'll take care of it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Voldenberg. Thanks for bearing with me there. That's all, Mr. Smurl.
Thank you, Mr. Schuster. Dr. Rothchild, do you have any motions or comments?
Yes, I do. First off, since I wasn't present at the beginning, I did just want to give a shout out to the DPW, thanking them for the trunk or treat that took place a few days ago that they do every year. My daughter really enjoyed it, and it's always a great time, and it's nice to see our DPW crew and their families handing out candy, so thank you for that. I wanted to, don't believe anyone had mentioned some of the details with the election next week, so I just wanted to remind voters that it is next Tuesday, November 5th. Polls are open from 7 a.m. until 8 p.m., and you could just go to pa.gov and you could find all your voting information if you want to make sure that your polling location is still the same place, or if you have any concerns, if you have a mail-in ballot, please get it in. You do have until 8 p.m. election day to be able to submit it, but the earlier the better. And if you have issues the day of the election with voting and you need to contact someone, the correct number to be able to do that is at 877-868-3772. And I had received an email update from a resident who noticed that at the corner of Colfax and Vine that there were markings at the curb site there that we've been asking for a curb cut. So that gives me some hope that that's going to be completed, or that it's at least in the process. And I know I spoke with Mr. Voldenberg too, said that he knows it's been forwarded to the appropriate parties to make sure that they get out there, and apparently they've started it.
We'll follow through, Doctor.
Okay, excellent. And just wanted to touch on the unsheltered task force. So previously, when I had asked about it, I had already attended a meeting, expressed an interest in being on the task force, so it was my understanding that I was able to be a part of that. We have, at least over the course of a year, had many discussions about the homeless and unsheltered population within Scranton, and it's been particularly important to me that we do everything as a city to be able to help them and to house the homeless and to identify the issues that we have in the city, the primary one being just like a lack of shelters and enough places for the homeless to be able to go. So that was how I think I came to be involved with it. And we were notified because I had asked of what the date of the following meeting was. I know we had asked for meeting minutes before, and we were told that that we would just be provided with updates, but that there were no minutes being taken. And I thought that I would get a formal invite to the last meeting, because all we had gotten was a date. I didn't get a time or location or anything like that. And then before I knew it, the date had passed, and I wasn't sure if the meeting had even occurred. So that was why I had asked about it the other week, and all I was given was that council was informed of the October 3rd meeting of the Unsheltered Task Force, and the city will provide necessary updates. So I still don't know what that means, and I only asked because I think this is so important that we know what's going on with it. The public has had a great interest in this, and the cold weather is going to be approaching. I know we've had an uncharacteristically warm October, but before we know it, it will be cold, and we want to be able to help as many who are unsheltered as we can, especially during the colder months. And so that's, I guess my question is if any council members are still invited to the task force, and if we could get provided with further information on future meetings, and if there are updates that are going to be forthcoming to us.
I'll reach out.
Okay.
And I'll request that they provide the update that we've asked for before.
Okay, I greatly appreciate that. And a resident had contacted me who was contacting American Water with questions about the rate hikes, and incidentally found out about a program that they didn't believe that most residents were familiar with, and they wanted to make sure that maybe council could announce it so that people would be aware. And so it's with regards to irrigation meters. So this is something that American Water could install at no cost to the resident. So it's going to be most useful for those with larger properties, maybe with like a sprinkler system or a pool. And instead of being charged by like water consumption in total, this meter would monitor the water that goes specifically through the sewer line. So that's perhaps an option that people might want to look into, and a potential way of saving money. And I think that's all that I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rothchild. Mr. McAndrew, any motions or comments?
Yeah, I have a couple. So, Dr. Rothchild, I think the same resident reached out to me about that also, and I was going to bring it up. And you know what?
Sorry.
No, that's fine, but you know what? It's amazing that we don't know about this separate line that could be put in, called an irrigation line, that will allow you, because what happens, we all know that whatever water we turn on the faucet, whether it goes down the drain or not into the sewer, we're charged for. But obviously there's a program that you can reach out to the water company and say, hey, I want a separate line put in. They'll install that for free. I guess the connections to your house you're responsible for, but you're no longer going to pay if you fill your pool or, water your flowers. And it's ironic, I was away this weekend at Cape May and stayed with some friends, and the friends told me the same thing because they have a beautiful property that has sprinkler system. They said, oh, no, we have that separate setup, which I thought, wow, I mean, and she goes, well, everybody down here is aware of it. I said, well, guess what? No one in Scranton's aware of this. So let's get some more information from them, maybe put it on our website in some fashion to provide some education and awareness to the residents that, that are feeling these water increases that are horrible, that we did fight for, Mr. King, and I appreciate you bringing that up. We all spoke. So let's see if we can help some people out with that information. Secondly, I'm a teacher. My first quarter grades are due next week. Back in August, a few crossing guards came to me and said, with a very small ask, hey, could we have an increase? And I'm like, sure, you deserve it. You are a line of defense every day with our kids getting on buses, getting across the street, braving the weather. The elements are coming soon. I know it's nice out, but don't be misled. It's going to be cold soon, and there'll be sleet flying and snow. And not only do they put up with the elements, but they put up with parents, and they put up with cars that are flying around them. So their ask was small. I know there's been some conversation with our administration and I think the school district. So, like I said, the second quarter starts. I mean, the school year, it's a quick one. It always is. Solicitor Gilbride, I know that you were reaching out. Could you provide us with an update from them when you get a chance, or see where we're at with the district with regards, because I know it has to be a mutually agreed upon increase, but I like to know where we're at if you can find out.
I'll reach out on that, sir.
Yeah, I just want to let you know out there we're still going to take care of you, and thank you for all your hard work. Okay, so this has been brought to my attention a couple times. I brought it up a couple times, right? And I actually took a look at it today. I did months ago, but it's the bridge that every truck gets stuck under on Luzerne Street, or most trucks. It was brought to my attention a few weeks ago that, it's a disaster. It's filthy under there. There was some sleeping bags. And I guess all they did between, I don't know if it was the city alone or, I know we have a problem with who's responsible, the railroad is or it isn't, but it's still a mess. It's still a disaster. If we can reach out to the departments that'll take care of that and finally take responsibility, or find out who's actually responsible and maintain that.
I will, sir.
And then right next to it is this gas station that we've had issues with, too, for the past couple of years. Can we get an update on that with regards to, because I know it was leaking gas, I know someone was trying to purchase it, and there was a stop to that. Do we know if all that's been rectified? The gas leak and the tanks or whatever? Okay, thank you. And another thing that keeps being brought to my attention, and I know in the new zoning ordinance, well, it's not new anymore, it's been around a little while now, that Airbnbs or short-term rentals, whatever that we're going to refer to, they're popping up, guys, and people are coming to me, and this isn't the first, this isn't the second, this is probably the fourth, where a resident will come to me and say, hey, Mark, I think there's an Airbnb going around. What's the deal? What's the process? And it's been a little vague as to who enforces this process or polices it, because we were told, and it's in the ordinance, that, okay, you want to open an Airbnb, you got to go before the zoning. I don't think it's happening. I don't know if code enforcement is responsible to check on that. And guess what? You know your own neighborhood. If you start seeing 3 or 4 cars every week in different places parking within a block from you, and it's a house that's pretty much vacant during the week, there's an Airbnb going on. So this one brought to my attention, if they can look at it, is 912 Monroe. If they can check it out. But could we please get from the administration protocol, maybe just a form, a bullet form, how it's enforced, how it's policed, what are the steps? Because I know certain parts of the city are approved for these short-term rentals or Airbnbs, but maybe we can get some clarity for the residents as to where they are or where they're allowed and how it's being enforced or tracked or whatever, because, you know, they're bringing in revenue, it's taxable. Are they paying taxes? I know maybe that might be a speck out of our purview, but I think we need to get a hold of it, because I believe there's more popping up, because I hear about it all the time.
I'll take care of it.
Yeah, thank you. The irrigation meter, we did. So okay, this is back, I know we got my first response on, it says from the October 8th meeting, but we've been talking about this a while. This happened, you know, we had a quick rush and get MOUs done about, you know, the residency and, you know, the MOA we had to immediately vote on, because it's, you know, we have to do it quick. With regards to DPW and the fire bargaining units, and so since October 8th, I get the same response every week. So may the city administration further to Councilman Schuster's inquiry, he brought it up first, I piggybacked on it. Last week, please update council with discussions are being held regarding MOA with DPW and fire bargaining units, right? This is since October 8th, every week. We're still in discussion with DPW and fire bargaining units. All right? Can we ask, what are they discussing? I mean, it's pretty much, there's an MOU, right? Signed by both parties, let's go. And then also, again, Mr. McAndrew asked, again, further to Mr. Schuster's inquiry last week, and this is not last week, this is weeks. We're talking weeks now. If the administration may yet advise the question, are SPD, SFD, DPW, and clerical employees allowed to move out of the city at this time? Or is this still a factor being negotiated, which we told it won't be negotiated because there was an MOA, right? With the city labor attorneys. What do we get again? Almost a month, it's going to be a month, response forthcoming. So I'm hearing chatter from some of these hard workers in the city that are afraid to move up because they're, you know, indirectly being warned you better not. So I want some clarity to that, please, if we can get it. I mean, what's the labor attorney doing? The people I talk to out there say, you know, we're good. We got a sign, we're good, and the holdup is the labor attorney. So, you know, when that's a holdup, you know what's going on. There's just more money being made for them. So I think, you know, this has to be settled once and for all. And I don't want to keep hearing a response is forthcoming. How long? It's already a month. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McAndrew. I just have a few blight issues that were handled and code enforcement issues. The 300 block of Crown Avenue, that commercial tractor that was parked there for months has been removed, and also the illegal garage on the corner of Prospect Avenue and Maple Street, that was shut down. And the 1,000 block of Beach Street, I guess there's concrete barriers or something up there. The city advised me today that they will be taking care of those immediately. We're trying to get them removed, but we are working on that. And all of the cars and all of the blight issues and the cleanups that have been going on the past 2 months, and there was over 100 cars towed. I want to thank the Scranton Police Department for working with code enforcement and not only citing these cars, but now we're removing them from the streets, removing them from the houses, from their yards. All of these cars that were not inspected or not registered, they've taken out tractor trailers, they've taken out motor homes, among other things. And so I thank the Scranton Police Department. Also, the DPW. They came in on a few of them where they've moved some of the stuff and found tons of garbage throughout these areas. And no one being around, no one, you know, try to find the owner. So DPW did come in and clean up multiple sites for us. And I thank them for doing that. And that is all I have, Mr. Voldenberg.
Can I say one thing on short-term rentals? Actually, I have two things, so I'm sorry about this. When we asked PA Water about the irrigation systems, can we find out what the average cost is to the resident to put that into their home? And
I'll get that information.
Thank you. And then secondly, when it comes to short-term rentals, I know Mr. McAndrew had a couple addresses. I know that I got a list of some addresses. When looking at the zoning, it's considered short-term rental. The resident of the property must occupy the property for at least 6 months. When it comes to the areas that I've received addresses in, there usually are 8 sections of the city or are 10 sections of the city, and it is through special exemption. So can we ask the administration how they're tracking these properties? Are they going through the zoning board? Are they getting the special exemptions they need? And are they going through rental inspections? As well as the, Mr. King brought up to me, the payroll prep tax, if they would be eligible to be, for the payroll prep tax.
I will, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schuster. Mr. Voldenberg?
5B for introduction, an ordinance amending file to council number 25 of 2024, ratifying and approving an intergovernmental agreement of cooperation and memorandum of understanding between the City of Scranton and Borough of Moosic regarding coordination on zoning, planning, and code enforcement of 53 Glenmara National Boulevard to ratify the updated memorandum of understanding from Moosic Borough.
At this time, I entertain a motion that item 5B be introduced into its proper committee.
So moved.
Second.
On the question, all those in favor of introduction signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it, and so moved.
Sixth order, 6A, reading by title, filed to council number 40, 2024, an ordinance authorizing the Scranton Police Department to donate a used police vehicle to the Career Technology Center of Lackawanna County.
You've heard reading by title of item 6A. What is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I move that item 6A pass reading by title.
Second.
On the question,
I have a question. This is fantastic. I mean, we have both a protective services class up there, we have an automotive class, and a collision repair class. So receiving, and this isn't unusual. I know in the past, I'm there 18 years, when I first started, there was a fire truck that was donated that the students used to practice on, running drills, and also the auto and collision would work on the vehicle itself. So this, to me, will be a great integrated project for the three classes that probably be involved with it. So I'm happy to see that, and I thank and appreciate the donation.
anyone else? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, and so moved.
Seventh order, 7A, for consideration by the Committee on Public Works for adoption, resolution number 132, 2024, authorizing the mayor and other appropriate city officials to execute and enter into a memorandum of understanding with American Rescue Plan Act Director to obligate state and local fiscal recovery funds for the purchase of street cameras in qualified census tract areas.
What is the recommendation of the chairperson for the Committee on Public Works?
As chairperson for the Committee on Public Works, I recommend final passage of item 7A.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Dr. Rothchild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7A legally and lawfully adopted.
7B, for consideration by the Committee on Public Works for adoption, resolution number 133, 2024, authorizing the mayor and other appropriate city officials to execute and enter into a memorandum of understanding with the American Rescue Plan Act Director to obligate state and local fiscal recovery funds to deliver comprehensive engineering, design, and construction services for the Western Field Skate Park.
What is the recommendation of the chairperson for the Committee on Public Works?
As chairperson for the Committee on Public Works, I recommend final vote on item 7B.
Second.
On the question?
On the question, I did, so there are, it's my understanding that there's some more planning meetings coming in the near future, at least one other meeting? Mr.
Yes,
Smurl?
yes.
All right. This here is to carry out the skate park. I did get some concerns from some of the residents in the area. They felt that the plan had changed several times, but the last iteration of the plan, it seemed that some of the noisier aspects or amenities of the park were now being moved into more closer to the residential areas of the park. I did request from Mr. Voldenberg a schematic or a plan, if he can get it from the administration, of what the current schematic is of that neighborhood. But I wouldn't like to move forward with this if this is setting it in stone that this project is going to start. Do we know that there's further planning involved before we vote on this?
There is a further meeting. What the first meeting was, they had 3 suggested layouts, and everyone that was invited were the neighbors and the people that do the skate parks, the design, and naturally people that use the skate park. So they took 3 of those designs and they picked out their pieces that they liked. And they are going to roll, I guess there was an A, B, and C. So A and C had options that everybody agreed on. So they're going to consolidate A and C and have another meeting and then bring it back to the neighborhood again. So it's still not exactly where it should be. So, but like I said in caucus, I am willing to go down, and anyone else wants to go down and go over this.
Yeah.
So.
Do we know what the estimated date for groundbreaking is? This isn't going to be something that's going to occur right now?
I don't believe this year.
Okay.
I don't believe this year.
All
No,
right.
because they don't even. This is only design. This isn't contract or
I think it's a
construction.
spring project.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I would imagine.
This is probably months and months away.
Yeah, I just wanted their concerns to be heard. Like I said, some of the layouts that they had stated, earlier iterations seem to be, they seem to agree upon the layout, but now it seemed that the skate park was moved more into the residential rather than more commercial up on Providence Road. So the noisier aspects of the park were going to be near homes. And then areas like the playground, which is now very visible on the corner with young children, is now going to be moved to the back of the park where the children would have less visibility. I think there are some valid concerns, and I'd like to make sure that they get them, those neighbors get those concerns added to the data collection here. So if we could just find out a meeting, when the next meeting is, and we could announce that to the public so they can make their concerns
Yes, and
heard.
I would go, and if you're interested.
Yeah. Oh, I'm definitely, I would have been interested in the last one, I just couldn't make it.
Yeah, okay. Anyone else? Roll call, please.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Dr. Rothschild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7B legally and lawfully adopted.
7C for consideration by the Committee on Public Works for adoption, Resolution Number 134, 2024, authorizing the mayor and other appropriate city officials to execute and enter into a memorandum of understanding with American Rescue Plan Act Director to obligate state and local fiscal recovery funds for splash pad equipment and enhancements to Capouse Avenue Park Playground.
What is the recommendation of the chairperson for the Committee on Public Works?
As chairperson for the Committee on Public Works, I recommend final passage of item 7C.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Dr. Rothschild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7C legally and lawfully adopted.
Eighth order has no business at this time.
If there is no further business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.